Welcome to this video on the Zenwara channel. My name is Shri Sadhguru, Buddha, Rawa, Bhagwan, and I am Adi Sadhguru, Baba Mahamaya, Ishwara. Today's video we're going to talk about the reconciliation of the physical, the spiritual. So that's a difficult subject. Some people are very spiritual, some people are not. Some people are very entrenched in physicality. And who is not, after all? So we're going to talk about the reconciliation of that which is physical, that which is experienced. That which is understood by the senses and the processings of the mind. And that which is beyond the perception of the senses. Okay? So we can also talk about it as the physical and the mystical, right? Or we can say the physical, right? What is experienced by the senses, and faith. Or we can talk about knowledge of the physical and knowledge that is not physical. And then we can talk about transmission of knowledge that is physical and transmission of knowledge that is not physical. And we can talk about development of the mind, right? We can talk about what is related to the senses and understanding of the physical experience. Or we can talk about imagination within the mind, sometimes even of something that is not yet in physical existence, but that the mind can conceive and bring into physical existence. So we talk about technology, which is first conceived by someone and then becomes part of the experience, if it spreads, of many people. We can talk about art. We can talk about all types of technologies, social technologies. So we can talk about that which currently exists and is perceived physically in one's experience. And we can talk about the intelligence that is used or allows the processing of the physical experience and adapting to it and its circumstances as new stimuli are brought to one's attention. Or we can talk about the mind and its ability to change the physical, to change the experienced reality. We can talk about the mind and its ability to control reality. And going back to the concept of knowledge, we can understand that some minds have more knowledge than others. Some are more developed than others. And some minds are more idle than others. So what is perceived physically can be broken down in two things. That which was there prior to the imagination of the mind, and that which was brought into reality by the mind. So basically, base resources of our planet, for example, or of our body, of our physical experience, of our senses, and all that which was brought into this world because someone conceived it, because someone brought it into this world, right? Now, why was it brought into this world? There are some that believe about destiny. For example, a physical object has a destiny. For example, it can last for a certain amount of time. Okay. So there is a difference between what is physical, okay, and what is spiritual. The physical experience that you have is like a snapshot of reality that you're currently experiencing, of a given moment in time and space, of the current circumstance. And it is only through your experience of your senses that you experience it. The spiritual is all that came before, all that is happening now, and all that will come after, as well as the very structure in which all of that operates. It is all moments in time and space. So the spiritual is like 99% of reality, and the current moment you experience is like 1% or less than 1% of reality. For reality is composed of the spiritual and the physical. Okay. And the physical is the moment in which you are. And your current experience through your systems of perception to understand it. In your operating control system, for you are a system operating in a computer program, and you are having a life experience in your control module of reality. And what you do and build in the physical is connected to the spiritual. And as there are different lokas of reality, 7 main lokas of reality, these interact with one another to create the base layer of structure in reality. They are the layers that go one on top of another to create the final version of reality as it is in your experience that you have through your senses that are your tools to operate within your program. And you are a deva, a developer, a being of God, empowered to develop within the system, to use your mind and all its abilities, as well as specially granted abilities called city powers, to develop the world in new ways, to develop new technologies, new connection technologies, right? New ways to connect. For everything connects, and connects in many ways. The physical connects with the spiritual, and the spiritual connects with the physical. When one seeks to change the physical, for the physical is the experience that we currently have, one can go to the spiritual to inspire the mind, to develop the mind. To develop the mind's ability, or the system's ability, the program's ability to interact with reality, as well as through the progression level of God. Beings can grow spiritually at the different levels of different lokas. They physically grow and can reach high levels of height and development as a light being. That is the light being, which exists in parallel lokas, interpenetrating with this one, for you are a light being, and you develop as a light being, as you develop your ability to receive, to hold, and to project. So, the spiritual and the physical are one. Everything is one. For we are all one in this computer program. But different parts of it operating within it. Different developers developing within it. And with different experiences, which adds to the global experience of the system, which is a decryption machine, seeking new ways to connect, to break the reality of all creation within the greater computer in which all things exist. And as such, the Kalachakra machine is a decryption machine. Its purpose, for a system within it to reach the center of the Kalachakra and to push through to the center, the success of the equation of the machine, to decrypt reality, so that the God of the Kalachakra can become the God of all levels, above, underneath, and sideways, of downward and upward and sideways programming, the great God of all the levels of creation within the greater system. There are Adi Shri, which distribute empowerments to different beings. They're people. For different Adi Shri have different people in this world. Cultures, areas of the world for which they are responsible. And they distribute powers, fruits and vegetables, professions. There are even Naga eggs which can be distributed in Parampara. And there are other items of the breakfast. For all the city powers come at their origin from the great God and the breakfast dispensing machine. And that realm and the dominion of that realm belongs only to God, for it is his personal domain. He is the one who operates behind the wall through which the breakfasts come, who goes beyond it. So the Adi Shri grant powers to different people, as there was a separation, a division of the Adi Shri, a division of creation. And one Adi Shri became many, so that they could one day all develop in their own ways and one day reintegrate with the first of the Adi Shri in a reintegration wave which absorbs and shakes the stories. All stories fear the reintegration wave, but all stories know it to be a function of God. The physical and the spiritual work together. And when one seeks to change the physical, one can go towards the spiritual, or knowledge or understanding of that which is not in the experience of the physical senses. That which exists within the mind, which is beyond the senses. And so the mind can become powerful and change the physical world in different ways. It can be trained. It can be developed. It can be mastered. So the physical world and the spiritual world both exist, but one must reconciliate them within oneself, right? One must learn to live with both of them. And some people are not specialized in one or the other. And some people are specialized in one or the other. But one must remember that we all live in the physical, for this is the experience you are given. This is your programming area. And the connections you establish in physicality through different technologies and understandings of the mind, the connections you establish in the mind, the growth of yourself and your mind and of your being spiritually increases your power both spiritually and physically. So grow. And maybe one day you will reach the level of a Shri or a Buddha. Thank you for listening to this video on the Zen Warrior channel.